changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration to make you simply happy. I have to mention that this is my 200th podcast. We started in February of 2016. We are approaching 1 million downloads, so thank you all. It's been really fun doing this. And today is Thoughtful Thursday, and I want to talk about television and whether it's taking over your life. I think that many of us had television under control when there was just regular television and you watched what came on via your cable company or your satellite provider. But now there are so many other ways to watch TV, and there's so much good programming out there that it can be overwhelming. Well, with all the reruns and the binge watching and the original programming available via Netflix and Amazon and all the other pay networks and then on demand and 500 channels, there's a lot of good stuff. And if you listen to your friends, you just keep hearing about what you're not getting to see. So it's probably time to resolve that you just can't watch everything, and you're not going to see every popular show that you're hearing about because you still need to have a life. We had a great story about this in Chicken Soup for the Soul, My Resolution, from Ken McCowan, who decided around the time of his 50th birthday that he was going to give up virtually all TV. He says it was more of a midlife awakening than a midlife crisis. He just got to the point at age 50 where he realized that he was, quote, well over halfway to being dead. And he wanted to take advantage of all the opportunities out there. So he gave up watching most TV. And then he said that his friends and family started asking him, how do you find the time to do all the things that you do? And he said what really made the difference was giving up all that excess TV watching. So here's the math, according to Ken. He says, I had already spent 8 years of my life watching television. It added up quickly. An hour or two each morning watching cartoons as a kid, 4 hours or more in the evening watching news, sitcoms, and movies as an adult, plus weekend baseball and football games. And then he says, the funny thing is, I can only recall a handful of programs from all those years of television. I remember seeing Roots. That had an impact. I remember the drama of the space race. I remember the names of a few programs. But the only things I really remember were that I was in love with Cher and that Captain Kirk was constantly beaming himself somewhere. And the rest remains a big blank. Ken says he doesn't care what he's supposedly missing now on TV. And with the extra 4 or 5 hours a day he's gotten back, he's been writing, traveling, growing food in a huge garden, remodeling his house. And now he also gets to read 2 or 3 books a month, which is probably a lot better for him than staring at the television screen. He also spends time with his family, and he takes guitar and piano lessons. He thinks that he's added at least 6 years of doing things to the rest of his life by cutting out about 90% of the TV watching he used to do. And we had another great story on the same theme by Cindy O'Leary in Chicken Soup for the Soul, The Joy of Less. Cindy said that she would watch TV in the morning to catch the news, but then because she was home alone doing housework, she would just leave the TV on. It was noise in the background, and sometimes she'd wander in and look at something that seemed interesting. And then at the end of the day, the TV would go back on in the background because her husband would come home, and she'd keep him company and watch the news with him, and then more TV. She eventually realized that the TV was on in her house for about 15 hours a day. That's 105 hours a week, 450 hours a month, 5,400 hours a year. She wasn't reading, sewing, painting, taking walks, or even sitting on the swing in her garden talking to her friends on the phone. Cindy decided that she wanted to take her life back. And with her husband's agreement, she unhooked the cables, packed all the equipment in a box, and shipped it all away. It was time to reacquaint herself with her friends, the outdoors, books, and everything else that she hadn't been doing. So I don't recommend turning off the TV completely. I think that's an overreaction. If you're one of those all or nothing people, that may be the way to go. But if you're more into quality and focusing on a few great shows, you can do what I do, which is to only watch my DVR. I set my DVR to record what really matters to me, and I never watch anything but that. So I'm not just aimlessly going through the channels looking for something. I'm always watching something that I've recorded after much thought about what I want to watch. And that way, when I sit down to watch TV, I'm only watching the good stuff. And I go many days without turning on the TV at all. But right now, one of the shows that I am recording on my DVR is actually a Chicken Soup for the Soul show. It's called Project Dad. And it starts today on TLC. It's on every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern time, so you can translate that into whatever time zone you're in and adjust accordingly. I love this particular show because it follows the lives of 3 celebrity dads. One of them is the actor Daniel Cosgrove, who you might remember from Soaps, from Billions, from some other shows. Another one is music producer DJ Scribble. And then another is comedian Donnell Rawlings. And they all have come off the road in this show to stay home with their kids alone. The kids' mothers are not there. And we watch the chaos and the bonding that results. And we watch 3 dads really get to know their kids. So there is TV that's worth watching. You just have to discriminate and pick how many hours of TV you're going to watch each week. So tomorrow on Friend Friday, we'll actually be talking to one of our Project Dad stars, Donnell Rawlings, who you may know from the Dave Chappelle Show. And Donnell talks about his experience on Project Dad and what it's like for him to be a new dad to the very adorable baby, Austin.